Muay Thai. You know it as the art of 8 limbs. It's this incredible, centuries-old tradition built on power and respect. But, in today's world, everything's going digital. And that includes even the most ancient sports. So today, we're going to peel back the curtain on how technology is completely reshaping Muay Thai, especially through the wild world of online betting. Okay, let's get into it.
And that's really the big question we're tackling here, isn't it? It's not just about watching fights from the nosebleeds anymore. We're talking about a whole new way of getting involved, of analyzing the sport and participating in it, all from a screen you hold in your hand. So to make sense of all this, here's our game plan. We're going to start with how Muay Thai even went digital in the first place. Then we'll look at the key platforms out there. After that, we'll do a quick beginner's guide, learn some of the lingo so you can talk the talk, and then wrap up with what the source material says about making smart, analytical bets.
All right, first up, this absolutely massive shift. Seriously, think about it. We've gone from the raw energy of a packed stadium in Thailand with the sounds and the smells to all of that action being beamed directly to your smartphone.
So what's pushing this change? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is the explosion of global promotions like One Championship. They've taken Muay Thai and put it on this giant international stage. And when you have a global audience like that, a whole digital world springs up around it for fans to connect and, of course, to bet online. And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. The old way was you had to physically be at the stadium, cash in your hand with pretty limited options. Now, the online world has completely flipped the script. You can bet from your couch, your office, anywhere. You've got tons of different ways to bet, all your transactions are digital and instant, and you can even live stream the fight right there. It's a whole new ballgame.
Okay, so if this is all happening online, where is online? Let's jump into our next section and take a look at what the source material points to when it comes to the actual platforms and what you should look for in a good site.
The sources we're digging into today spotlight a couple of main platforms, SA163 and MUAR1. And when you look at the features they reportedly offer, you start to see what the standard is. Users expect top-notch security, super fast deposits and withdrawals, live streaming built right in, and of course, it all has to work perfectly on your phone.
And stepping back a bit, the source material kind of gives us a checklist for any site, really. You're looking for a legit legal license, customer service that's there 24/7, those speedy money systems we just talked about, and of course, coverage of all the fights, not just the big ones. And really important, no sneaky fees on your winnings, and a site that's actually easy to use.
Now, when we say legal license, what does that actually mean? Well, the source gets specific, naming groups like the Malta Gaming Authority, the UK Gambling Commission, or Curaçao e-Gaming. These are the kinds of official bodies that regulate the space and provide some oversight.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. How does someone actually get started with all this? This next part breaks down the whole process, as described in the source, into 4 really simple steps. It's laid out as a pretty straightforward loop. First up, you sign up, usually just with your phone number. Step 2, you put some funds in your account, using something like a bank transfer or True Wallet. 3, you browse the site and pick the fight you're interested in. And 4, the cool part, you can often just watch the fight live, right there on the platform.
So, is this super exclusive? What's the price of admission? Well, according to the source, the typical minimum bet is just 10 baht. To put that in perspective, that's less than 30 cents in US dollars. It's a tiny barrier to entry, which makes it accessible for anyone who just wants to have a little skin in the game.
All right, if you're going to swim in these waters, you gotta learn the language. Just like any hobby or scene, online Muay Thai betting has its own slang, its own jargon. So let's break down some of the must-know terms from the source.
Okay, the absolute most important one is rakanam. Now, it literally translates to water price, but for us, it's the odds, or sometimes called the juice. These little numbers are everything. They tell you exactly how risky a bet is and what your potential payout could be. They're the heart of the whole system.
And those odds create 2 classic characters in any fight. You've got the Muay Door. That's your favorite, the fighter everyone expects to win. Betting on them is the safer move, so you get a smaller payout. On the flip side is the Muay Wrong, the underdog. Betting on them is a long shot, a real gamble. But if they pull off that miracle win, the reward is going to be way, way bigger.
So what can you actually bet on? It's more than just picking a winner. That's called a moneyline bet. You can get way more specific. You think the fight's going to be over fast? That's an over-under bet. Got a gut feeling it's going to end with a spectacular knockout? That's a method of victory bet. You can even try to predict the exact round the fight will end.
And finally, you've got two main ways to package your bets. The simple way is a Muay Thai, or a single bet. It's just one bet, one outcome. Easy. Lower risk, but lower reward. But then you have the Muay Step, the parlay. This is where you bundle a bunch of different bets together into one big one. Here's the catch, though. Every single one of your predictions has to be right to win. If even one is wrong, you lose it all. It is the absolute definition of high risk, high reward.
So that brings us to our last section, and maybe the most interesting one, because the source material is really clear about this. This isn't meant to be like pulling a slot machine lever. It's all about strategy and smart analysis to get beyond just pure guesswork.
And this idea just pops up again and again in the source material. The core message is that if you have the right info and you have a framework for thinking about it, you can make decisions that are way more informed, instead of just betting with your heart or on a whim.
So what does that analysis actually look like? Well, the source suggests this 5-point framework. First, do your homework on a fighter's history, their record, how many knockouts they have. Second, dive deep into the stats. Third, and this one is so important, understand their fighting style. How does one style match up against another? Fourth, you gotta follow the news. Did someone have a bad training camp? Are they injured? And last but not least, manage your money. Set a budget. That's what keeps it analytical and stops it from becoming emotional.
And the best part is, you don't have to do all this research in a bubble. The source points out that there are online communities, giving Moi One Club as an example, where fans and bettors all get together to trade tips, debate fights, and share information as it happens.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. The big takeaway here is that online platforms have completely changed the way we interact with Muay Thai. The source says if you're looking at these sites, the magic words are security, speed, and a legal license. You gotta know the basic language: odds, favorites, underdogs. And, maybe the most important point of all, the whole approach described in the source is about smart analysis of stats and styles, not just betting on a whim.
Which leaves us with this one last big question to chew on. You can study every stat, break down every fighting style, follow every piece of news. But at the end of the day, this is a sport where one punch, one kick can change everything. So after all that analysis, where does your strategy stop and pure chance take over?